Heather McDonald has got the juiciest scoop. When you're on the road, when you're on the go, Juicy Scoop is the show to know. She talks Hollywood tales, her real life Mr. Segment serial data and serial sister. You'll be addicted and addicted fast to the #1 tabloid real life podcast. Listen in, listen up. Woo woo. Heather McDonald, Juicy Scoop.
Hello and welcome to Juicy Scoop. Well, you guys, last night I did watch most of the Wendy Williams 4-part documentary. It is really sad, but let me just tell you about it. Because now I can say that in it, the family is featured. And the family is basically saying, the family includes her son and her niece and nephew, who all seem really lovely. We also see her dad. Her mom has since passed. Her brother. She has a great family that's very supportive of her. And when she was going through these issues where she was like, Wells Fargo took my money, it's my understanding that Wells Fargo thought there was something going on, too much money was coming out of her account too quickly, and they said, we think we need to protect her. So she's in Miami having fun with her family and everything, and that is when a judge came in and said, you need to have a guardian, Wendy Williams, other than your family. So as we're watching this documentary happen, which I guess she agreed to do when she agreed to do the first documentary that took place a couple years ago. But since then, we see her and, physically her health is not good, but also she's very erratic and mean to people. Like she's getting her nails done and all of a sudden she's really nice to the nail lady. And then she's like, what are you, stupid? I told you not only to do one layer, one coat. And the girl's like, no. And, she'll not remember people's names and things. And so a lot of people watching it, it's very triggering if they have someone who has dementia or Alzheimer's in their life, where their personality switches from being nice to mean to pulling things out of the air that don't exist. And we see it. And we see this girl come into her life who is the PR person who her niece is very weary of. All of it is very, very juicy. It's very sad to me, being that I know Wendy Williams, I've worked on Wendy Williams' show, that if I was ever to be going through this medical issue and diagnosis, because now they said she does have early dementia brought on by her alcohol abuse, most likely, I wouldn't want this to be airing. I wouldn't want people to see me struggling. I wouldn't want people to see me being rude on camera to people when that wasn't Wendy before. And like I said, I understand this deal was sold. She agreed to let these people come in. But that's where I'm like, well, where does this guardianship, who's not her family, allowing this to happen? And then she doesn't get to see her family as much because the family is in Miami, and the judge says she has to stay in New York because that is where the court-appointed guardian is. And then she'll get someone into her life who's like, let's sell your apartment. It's just crazy. And then they go on this one meeting, which is so sad, where she's like, we're going to go see NBC. Oh, that's good. They're going to want to have me on. They were going to want to. And it reminds me of this old movie called Sunset Boulevard, where this movie star thinks that they're calling her again from Hollywood, and they say, come to the studio. And she's like, oh, they're going to want me back. They're going to want me back in Hollywood. And all they wanted was her old car to use for a film. They were like, oh, we know that, this actress has this old car. And it's a great classic movie, but you're watching it documentary style, and you know that when these executives meet with Wendy Williams in this meeting, which they don't film, they're going to realize, wow, she is definitely not capable of handling any kind of real TV show. This is not who we're going to put our money in. They get into, a little bit what happened with Wendy Williams' show ending. However, no one's speaking on that. But DJ Booth, who was part of the staff show, he does say that the staff did not know things were that bad when they were giving her all these stints of where she would take time off. That's when I was like part of the rotating guests and panels and things. It was always that they were hoping that she would come back. They were always speaking so highly of her. And I don't think anyone knew that her drinking was that bad and that was, in fact, causing the forgetfulness and the change of personality. So I just hope now that we know this, where is Wendy Williams? Now we know where she is. I hope that these family members that were featured can really just gather around her, get her the best help that she needs, and hopefully she gets, improves. And if she doesn't, that she is able to lead a private life at this point. That's what I really hope, because it's really, really sad. Also, my God, there is a lawsuit, another P. Diddy lawsuit. Former male employee who was a producer and videographer is alleging that he was sexually assaulted numerous times, numerous occasions by P. Diddy, by people that P. Diddy introduced him to, by situations that this person was put into. He's suing for $30 million. And already there are discrepancies in his lawsuits coming forth. He said that there was a guy named Stevie J who it was like having sex with another man, and P. Diddy forced him to watch that. And TMZ just reported that a gay porn star is saying that was me. That wasn't Stevie J. I don't know. It's real messy. There's lots and lots of things. And it's another lawsuit, this time by a male employee against P. Diddy. And of course, P. Diddy's attorney is saying this is just someone looking for an undeserved payday. So he's got his work cut out for him. Jennifer Lopez, I talked about the movie This Is Me. And she said there were a bunch of cameos that she asked people to that couldn't do it. And some of the people that turned her down were Taylor Swift, Ariana Grande, Jason Momoa, Jennifer Coolidge. Oh, God. I said, hey, J-Lo, I'm sorry I can't make it. I'd so much like to do a little funny sketch with you. Lizzo, Vanessa Hudgenson, and Snoop Dogg all passed because they were unavailable. So I thought that was interesting. Tom Sandoval. Oh, my God. The fight for this Valley Village home with Ariana is never ending. Now he is saying, I did a loan. There was a loan that he gave to Ariana for $90,000. And he wants to get that money back before he does any kind of selling of this house. Apparently now the house is worth like $3 million. They bought it for a little over $2 million. And we don't know why if it's true or why she's holding up. But that they're going back and forth with their thing from Vanderpump Rules. I hope everybody watched me on TMZ last night. You can watch it again on Hulu. We do the whole story of Taylor and Travis and how they met. And I give, my juicy scoop wisdom as always. But recently, just now, the dad got involved. Scott Swift is being accused of assaulting an Australian photographer while celebrating the end of his daughter's Eras tour. So this photographer, who's 51, whose last name is McDonald, no relation, I guess came too close to her. He physically pushed him away. Now the guy is coming after him. But in 2005, Nicole Kidman got a restraining order against him. So I don't think so. But I kind of love that the dad is working and like protecting her. Oh my gosh, 90 Day Fiancé. I know I have not talked about it in a long time, but one of the original couples was Angela and Michael. Michael went missing in America and they didn't know what happened. Well, according to Reality Blurb, he has been found after being reportedly missing by Angela for 2 months after he moved to America from Nigeria. So I was reading the comments. A lot of people think that he's going to come forward and try to say that she was abusive or something, because then he can still get his green card and get everything he needs and get the hell away from her. It's no surprise that this couple isn't, happily in love, but they were one of the original 90 Day Fiancé people, and I found it to be kind of funny. Sister wives, Meri, she had that boyfriend for 4 months. No longer. They're broken up. So Kim Kardashian's getting some heat because, as you know, she's trying to be a lawyer still, I guess. And she posted the wrong man. She posted just a normal guy living in New York saying everyone needs to gather around and get this guy out of jail. He's innocent. But this guy was not in jail at all. She posted the wrong name, the wrong photo. So I don't know who's working for her, but maybe, she has to actually hire like a real law clerk to help her with her social media that involves lawyer things. Maybe she can't just get, whoever did this needs to go back and refold the G-string beige skim underwear instead of doing this because she screwed up. All right, let's talk traitors. I mean, Phaedra, I don't know if she's going to be nominated for an Emmy, but she should. She is the OG traitor. She's the only one left, but she brings on Kate. And Kate had played the previous season, so she's funny and she's dry, and the two of them together, they decide to kill Kevin because they feel like by killing him, it's not too suspicious. It's not like killing Peter the pilot, but he is one of the people that Peter has kind of formed an alliance with. So they want to break up that alliance. So they come to breakfast and they all have to act surprised. Oh, poor Kevin, he's gone. So everyone's kind of looking around and Peter's like, he's kind of feeling like, oh shit, things are not going great for me. So they go out to do their next challenge, which is they have these like little stained glass windows with all their names and they have to do like a bow and arrow kind of a shooting thing. And it's really hard, even for like athletic people. It's like, are you good at this or not? So they're trying to hit each other's squares with their names on it. And whoever's the last one standing gets the shield and cannot be kicked out at the round table. So they're doing all that. And Phaedra's going on and she's like, I'm going to pick this person because I don't think they need the shield. And then she says, oh, wait, I realize if you just go up or like to the right or to the left, it's really easy after someone failed to go through to like learn, okay, now I know exactly if I just turn a little to the left, I'm going to be able to hit this one. Well, after she does that and they realize that's a pattern that works, she goes out of her way and goes like down and around to break the glass of Trishelle. So then they're like, wait a minute. That makes us think Phaedra is a traitor again because why? She wasn't just doing it to like get the most. She's doing a strategic thing to make sure that Trishelle doesn't have the shield because maybe she wants to get rid of Trishelle because Trishelle's a really good player and part of the Peter plan. So they get back and again, Peter is like, I know it's Phaedra. I know it's Phaedra. No one's really suspecting Kate at all. And Phaedra knows that. So she's like, I'm telling you guys, I think it's Peter. I think Peter is the one. And just trying to put it out there. And people are like, maybe he is. That is weird. They do think this other girl, Sandra, might be a traitor as well. But it doesn't happen much. So they get around the round table. And John, who's the English guy from Parliament, he goes straight in for Phaedra. And he's like, I think it's you for all these reasons. And he just lays it out on the line. And she's like, really? You think so? And she comes back. And that is where I'm like, she is so great. And then she turns around and she's like, I think it's Peter. I think it's Peter because he has always having these secret meetings with everybody. And, he is telling people not to enter a room and have private conversations. And he's like, well, that's what we're supposed to do when you're playing the game. She's like, yeah, when you're playing the game and you're a traitor. So he is like, look, I have all the evidence of why I'm not a traitor. But she has convinced her group of people enough. And there is this moment where they're like, do we really have a Bravo alliance? And MJ's like, look, my eyes are open. I don't have a Bravo alliance with Phaedra or anything. Comes down to 4 people I think it's half and half. And the deciding vote, half are for Phaedra, half are for Peter to kick that person out, who they think they're both the traitors. And it comes down to MJ from Shaws of Sunset. She is to give the final vote. And that is where we leave off. So get into it. Watch on Peacock. New episodes drop every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern. All right. The latest in the Brandi Glanville saga of Real Housewives of Bravo. Real Housewives of everything. Involving Andy Cohen. She has Mark Garagos as a top-notch attorney, who at one time represented Scott Peterson. Yes. Anyway, he is representing her saying that she was in fact sexually harassed by Andy Cohen on an occasion where they did a FaceTime call and he was talking about having sex with Bravo celebrities and he called her. He immediately did a post saying this was a joking thing I did with Brandi Glanville. I was with Kate Chastain, also a Bravo celebrity. However, totally inappropriate. I apologize. She then has come out and said, I still have not received any apology from you. You doing a post is not an apology to me. Now, as we know, Brandi Glanville is named in a lawsuit of Caroline Manzo against Bravo. She's not suing Brandi. She's saying that Bravo and Bravo producers have allowed Brandi to act in this behavior, keeping her on shows for years and years and years when she's behaved bad, grabbed at people, acted inebriated. They've allowed it to happen. They've encouraged it to happen. And therefore, they are responsible for Caroline Manzo being a victim of sexual assault. Meanwhile, in the Caroline Manzo world, her brother-in-law, who was married to her actual biological sister, Dina, they got divorced. And then Dina and her new husband were attacked in Dina's home. They believe that Dina's ex-husband, who was also brother-in-law to Caroline Manzo, so get it, the two sisters married two brothers, was responsible for hiring the man that came in and physically attacked Dina Manzo and her new husband. This caused a lot of problems with people in this world because they were writing letters defending Dina Manzo's ex-husband. Anyway, the judge has dismissed the case. So Caroline Manzo's brother-in-law, Dina Manzo's ex-husband, will no longer be facing any kind of trial or anything where they thought that he set up the plan for these people to be attacked. So that was a big win for the Manzo family, not for Dina. But that's lots of drama there in the juicy world. Also, Brielle got engaged. Yes, Brielle is engaged. That is Kim Zolciak's daughter and Troy's stepdaughter. She is engaged at 24 years old to a very cute-looking guy. All right, everybody, go to heathermcdonald.net. You're going to join my Patreon. But also, that is where all my dates are. And I have new dates coming out, and I can't announce it yet, but there'll be a new date in Florida coming in March. So you're going to want to go to that in April. All of the dates are there at heathermcdonald.net, along with joining my juicy Patreon every Friday and so much more. All right, and now for a super juicy interview. Hello and welcome to Juicy Scoop. I'm very excited because I have been wondering what your life has been like for the last few months. I am with newest Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Annemarie Wiley.
Thank you for having me.
I have been talking about it because, you know, being a big fan of Housewives and also knowing how it works, seeing how it's changed over the years with social media and how you know, if you were on this show as a new member, season 2 of OC, and you would never know how all these very vocal fans feel about you as each episode airs.
That is very correct. I will definitely say one of the most challenging things to navigate has been social media. Because prior to this, I was a very private person.
You are married. You're a mom of 3?
So I have 4 children. So I have a stepdaughter that's 24. My son is 8. And then I have 2 girls that are 5 and almost 4.
Okay, great.
So very, very busy. Our house is like, you know, constant chaos. I also work part-time. I'm a nurse anesthesiologist and I'm married. My husband and I will be married for 10 years this year. And he is a former NFL player and current broadcaster. So that's why, you know, I'm used to being around all the things.
Some media and all that, and him being famous, people approaching him at restaurants and things like that.
Yes, exactly.
How did you guys meet again?
We met at a birthday party, actually. Yeah, with it was one of his former teammates, and it was at a club in Hollywood. And I went with a mutual friend, and we hit it off that night, and we were literally inseparable. Like, we were engaged within 9 months. Everything happened like very fast. And I was a resident at the time, so we waited until I was done school, and then we got married right away after, and then got pregnant with our first child 3 months later.
So you live this mom life as well as being, you know, a nurse. Now, everyone says I'm saying it wrong. Aren't you a nurse of anesthesiology or no? What is the proper name of it?
So let me explain, because this is where it gets so, and rightfully so, it's complicated for people, right? Because if you have never heard of us before, and the title has actually recently changed as of 3 years ago. So I graduated from anesthesia in 2013, and I have a master's degree, and our title at that time was nurse anesthetist. Our professional association, the American Association of Nurse Anesthesiology, in 2020 changed our professional title from nurse anesthetist to nurse anesthesiologist.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So you have physician anesthesiologists that are MDs that practice anesthesia, and you have nurse anesthesiologists that are RNs that practice anesthesia.
Now, can you put someone completely under general as well as a nurse?
That is what I do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I am a
And
registered
you do your
nurse.
private practice, like for plastic surgery, or at ER centers or wherever?
We practice everywhere.
Oh, okay.
Everywhere and anywhere that anesthesia is needed, that is where we practice. We
Okay.
do general, monitored anesthesia care, regional anesthesia,
And have
OB
you-
anesthesia.
Have you always worked at least part-time in your profession while being a mom?
Yeah, so I used to work at a very large major hospital in Los Angeles before we started having kids. And then once we had our first, I wanted to make sure that I had that work-life balance that I really craved and that I was really able to be there for my family. So then I started working at surgery centers and working for myself. And so that's why I'm able to work part-time now and be a mom and be there for my husband and
Okay, so
there to run my household.
So you're having your busy life, your
Yes.
mom life, your wifey life, your nurse life.
Yes.
What was your relationship with Housewives? Were you someone who watched it? Did you enjoy it? What was your relationship before you were approached?
So let me say this. I don't watch TV. Like I do not watch. I haven't watched TV in years. Like I just don't have time. Like I'm a very, very busy person. I have such a crazy life. I go to bed at like 8 o'clock.
Okay.
Because I wake up at 4:30 in the morning to work out. So I do not watch TV. But I used to watch it. I want to say the first maybe like 6 seasons or so. So
Of
like
Beverly Hills.
Yes. So like this is before I married, before I had kids and everything. I used to watch it, but then I haven't watched it in however many years that is now. And then so when we moved into our current house about 2.5 years ago,
and that house is in an area of the valley, which is Encino, very, very nice,
Correct.
but very close to where Dorit and Kyle live. So it makes sense that that you guys could be friendly.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So go on. Yeah.
So we move into our house and we bought our home through the agency, Mauricio's.
Oh, okay.
Mauricio's company. So, and then a few months later, they had, I guess, like a VIP party at their house
for like their best clients or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly. So as we're looking, and we're running around town doing the holiday party gamut, and we look at the invitation and we're like, oh, that's on our street. We're like, yeah, let's go pop in. So we went, and they thought my husband was hilarious because he's such a character. And so, we just like kind of all hit it off, and then that was it. Because this is nothing that had ever been on my radar. Like I said, I was very happy being a private person. And also like we have a lot of like famous friends and things like that. And it was just never something that I really saw for myself. My husband, he's like, you know what? Why not? He's like, it's something for you. He's been telling me for years, he's like, you're such like a multi-dimensional person. Like you're a multi-hyphenate. You do so many things. He's like, you should do a blog, a podcast, something. And so he's like, you know what? Go have fun. Go do this. It's something for you. You can use the platform to do what you want to do with it, which is ultimately to inspire people. And so I was like, you know what? Why not? And I'm kind of just in a point in my life. Like I'm 41. I'm like, say yes. You know what I mean? Like, try new things.
So you meet them, and what's the initial meeting? Do they come to your house, or is it over the phone, or what?
I mean, Alex called me. I talked to him for a while, and then casting called me immediately right after that. I've heard it's a really extensive process, like 8 months and tons of women.
I think that every season is kind of different.
Yeah.
They always would rather have something that makes sense, and I think if they find it, like any casting, like when I used to audition for things, I'd always feel like they were against me, and I'm like, no, they want their job to end. Like
they want it to be
end.
simple.
They want it to be simple. So if they find someone, and they must have thought that it would be a good natural fit, and I know that it makes sense that they want people younger, with younger kids,
and with families.
Because as time goes on, you want, when you think about when Kyle started, Portia was like in a crib,
right,
and now she's 16.
Yeah.
So like all the housewives when they started back were early 40s.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do think that's kind of a good age, because if someone wants to do it for a long time, we can really like see them grow.
You want to see that growth, exactly.
Yeah. And so, okay, so you meet everybody, and like, what's your initial thought? Was it weird to have cameras? Was it weird not to look at the camera? And because some people say right away you ignore the cameras. My kid didn't notice the cameras, all of that.
No, I mean, I wouldn't say it was weird, and for a couple of reasons. Like, number one, I'm a people person. Like, I love people. That's just me. I feel like I can honestly be friends with anybody. There are a few exceptions, which I'm sure we'll get into, but I can get along with anybody. I just love people. And again, because I'm so used to being around those things, like going into the studio with my husband or going onto set with friends or whatever it is. I'm just, so it wasn't weird, except for that it was now about me. But I wasn't worried about the cameras being there. They're kind of off in the distance anyway. And I was really just interested in getting to know people,
Yeah.
And it's so funny, you see that little snippet of Crystal saying, that bitch is nosy. And I'm like, Crystal, we were texting in the car outside, number one. And number two, how do you get to know people? I get to know people by asking questions about them,
so
right?
Let's talk about the Crystal moment.
Okay.
So there's a moment a few episodes back when you're in Spain.
Yes.
And you and Crystal had issues. And why do you think you had the issues? Because you were questioning the whole esophagus thing and for people that don't know, so Sutton, it was Kyle who brought it up. Kyle
Correct.
brings up, because she's feeling like she's on the attack. This is before she's come forward that she and Mauricio are having serious issues. But everybody around is like seeing something going on. And so she kind of goes after Sutton at the dinner party and is like, why are you bringing up the fact that I don't have a ring on? You don't even eat. You move your food around.
Right.
And
You're
so
right.
then the conversation starts, as women who don't have cameras around would discuss, and be like, what is up with that?
Yeah.
So you give your opinion that you don't believe it's a tiny like, explain.
So let me explain that.
I'm not going to explain
This is oh heavens. Oh, here we go. So yes, you just explained how it was presented to me.
Right.
Kyle is the one who presented it
Yes.
that way. She said that Sutton doesn't eat and pushes her food around her plate and uses that as an excuse for that. So that
Okay.
was how this was initially presented to me. And my only point in all of this was that there needed to be an underlying condition causing a narrow esophagus. That's it. I did not say that I wasn't questioning whether she had one or not. I literally was just saying, because think about it like this, okay?
Yeah.
Say you have a newborn and your newborn is born with a small esophagus. What do you think would happen?
I don't know. I mean, I go to the doctor.
They wouldn't
and
be able to eat.
Right. Or you need like a feeding tube, I guess,
You,
right?
you would probably
Yeah.
need surgery. Like, you wouldn't be able to eat. All I'm saying is that, like, I was literally just saying, asking her what the underlying condition was that caused that to happen. That was it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay, so now of course, editing is a tiny percent. We see a tiny percent of what you guys film. And I'm guessing you probably had some really funny times with your husband, probably some cute times with your kids. What we saw was you, in every situation, bringing it up again about Sutton's tiny esophagus.
That is correct.
The audience knows how these shows work. They believe the audience enjoys a show more if there's conflict than you doing a legit charity event. And that's just the case, okay? So we start seeing this. And so I kind of really felt for you, because I'm like, this is all they're showing. And there's a good chance that they're saying, okay, Annemarie, when you go in, they're saying that you're not qualified to say what you're saying. And so then you want to go defend yourself. That's what I'm assuming, stuff like that happened. And then you now have footage of you constantly bringing up the esophagus.
There was a lot of disrespect of nurses happening. My profession was constantly being diminished.
Versus like, you're not a doctor.
Right. And let's talk about that too.
Yeah.
Because nurse anesthesiologists are doctors. I have a master's degree because that's what my requirement was of my program when I graduated 11 years ago. But 10% of CRNAs are doctors. They are doctorate trained. And as of next year, every single CRNA that graduates has a doctorate degree. So we are doctors. physician anesthesiologists own the title physician. They do not own the title anesthesiologist. And that is where a lot of the political debate comes in, because there is such a political history between the ASA, the American Society of Anesthesiologists, and the AANA, the American Association of Nurse Anesthesiology. Especially when our title changed to nurse anesthesiologist, they don't like that. It's like a turf war.
Okay, got it.
And so I'm at the brunt of this turf war because Crystal decided to say that I misrepresented my title, whereas she actually doesn't even know all of this background information. She just wanted to say that.
And so when you guys start, so she also said in Spain, or you said, you guys hung out prior to filming or when filming wasn't happening, and then she gave you the scoop on everybody, is what you said.
Yeah. So we have mutual friends, and I met her.
Not the 14 that she's no longer friends with.
But I know that too, because I know those people as well.
Okay.
Good people.
And do you know why that friendship ended?
Yes, I do.
Can you share or no?
I mean, let's just say that it goes back to her, what she says about the ladies, which we're going to talk about, the thing about her 14 friends, and now this thing with me misrepresenting her title, misrepresenting my title, which isn't that so convenient that she needed a storyline this year. She needed something to talk about. She was talking about her brother. That was her storyline this year.
I don't think people were that interested in the brother.
She was talking about her brother. So she knew she needed to bring it this year. So she did what she does, which is unfortunately not be truthful. So,
okay. So I mean, I kind of loved that moment at the table in Spain.
Okay. So
in
yes,
Spain,
sorry.
because why I loved it is because you were like, you said it, and all their faces where you said it, you're like, I made you relevant, meaning relevant on a show.
We're on a show.
And more, like I've been begging for them to break the fourth wall on occasion, show the fact that you have an opportunity because of Housewives, bring up BravoCon. And slowly each franchise is starting to do it. And I think the franchises are benefiting from it because the audience is so sophisticated, because they've been watching for 15 years. So when you said that, I thought that was pretty interesting. But what you also said was, look, you shit talked this group and said that they weren't intelligent. And then they go back and show a clip of her giving an interview where she said the exact thing that you said.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and fourth wall is a whole other situation. I wish I knew that I could have broken fourth wall. But yeah, so when I met her, it was, I think, the same week that I met Kyle at a holiday party of a mutual friend of ours. And I'm like, what do you do? And she's like, I'm a housewife. She really did lead with that.
Meaning I'm a real housewife.
Yeah,
I'm
like
TV
I'm on
housewife.
a show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm a housewife, like in real life. Like I'm a housewife. And I was like, oh, interesting. And then, you go into the natural question of like, oh, is it fun? Do you guys actually hang out? Like, the same questions I get from people now.
And this is before you were hired.
Oh, this is 3 months before this was even a thing. Oh,
right,
absolutely. Yeah. And I get it because people ask me that all the time now too. So I ask her that, and then
I don't think there's anything wrong. Like, I remember Real Housewives of New York when Bethany was going after Carol, which you don't know what I'm talking about because you didn't watch. Yeah. But she was ripping on Carol for not having a career or something. And Carol's like, we have the same job. Yeah, the main job is housewife. Now, you really have a whole nother job.
Yes.
And there are a couple other housewives that really, Elisa Vanderpump is a restaurateur. But, there are people that have real legit other things going. But for most people, this is a pretty big job, and it's a huge platform, and there's nothing to be ashamed of act like it's,
Absolutely not, and I'm not even saying it in that way. It's just she said it in a way of, it was pretentious. Okay. That's all I'm saying. It wasn't like, I do this, and I'm holding esteem from it for anything other than...
Okay. Yeah.
I'm being pretentious about it. That was how it was presented to me. So then she said, what do you do? And I said, I'm a nurse anesthetist, and she looked at me puzzled, which... 90% of people do unless they are in healthcare and they have heard of a CRNA before. And then I said, I do anesthesia. And then she's looking at me puzzled, and I said, I do anesthesia. And then she said, oh, my sister is an anesthesiologist. And I was like, oh, okay, great. I'm a CRNA. Then she'll know what I do. Like, because you clearly didn't, she will know. And when people say they're in healthcare or they're in anesthesia, then it's like we kind of have that bond. Like, you're going to know what I do. Anyway, but that's what she decided to say. Well, no, you called yourself an anesthesiologist, which it's funny because also now looking back at it, I'm a nurse anesthesiologist. Like, it's, like it just, even her saying that, there's really nothing wrong with saying that.
I feel like, to be honest, to be a viewer, it was too much about this job of yours. It was too much. They had you talking about it too much in defending it and wondering about the Sutton thing. They had her asking too much and wondering about it. It's like, it just, listen, most people felt there wasn't, I felt the season was great. I never will stop watching the show. And I'm like, sometimes there just isn't that much going on in people's lives. Yeah. Of course, a lot going in Kyle's and stuff, but not much going on in Garcelle's. Yeah. I have teenage boys. One has a boyfriend, one has a girlfriend, one doesn't. Yeah. There isn't that much, and there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. Like, she's still interesting and exciting. I feel like there's gotten to this place where the audience is so awful that it's like, what's your storyline? Yeah. You better get a medical diagnosis where you're going to have to, like, be really sick, have a kid go through something bad, have a bankruptcy, a robbery, or a divorce happen, or you don't deserve to be on the show.
All the salacious
what
stuff.
What do you want?
Like, the funny thing, though, is I had so much going on in my life last year when we were filming. Like, in general, I have a very full, very big, very, very busy life. I have 3 hysterical kids, like a comedic husband. I work. We have a foundation. I'm a former collegiate basketball player. I work out every day at 4:30 in the morning. Like, I have a very big, very full life. And shortly after we started filming, my mother was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. She told me on camera.
Oh, my God. I'm so sorry. How is she doing?
She passed 3 months later.
Oh, my God. I'm so sorry.
Thank you. So that's what I was actually dealing with while we were filming. Oh. My mom's stage 4 lung cancer diagnosis. So, and it was, there was a time when, I talked to Kyle about it a bit because I knew that she'd understand because of her mom.
Her mom, yeah.
And then there was a time when I tried to talk to Sutton about it, and she threw it back in my face. And then it was after Sutton did that, she was, she kind of was like, you're just using that as an excuse. And I was like, and that's when I shut down. And I was like, I'm not going to talk to these girls about it anymore because it was so painful. Yeah. It was so painful. But that's what I was actually dealing with while we were filming. I don't care about Sutton's esophagus. Like, I cared about my family, my mother, all the things I was going through. And then when we were in Spain at the paella dinner, I was also adopted when I was born.
I didn't know that.
I'm half Dutch, half Nigerian. Oh. I'm from a small farm town in Canada. Were
you adopted at birth?
Yes. So I was adopted at birth.
Did you ever find your...
I'll tell you. Oh. Yeah. So Nigerian father, Dutch mother, they put me up for adoption when I was born. I've never met them. And I was adopted 2 weeks later by an Indonesian family. So I was raised in an Asian household.
In America?
In a small farm town in Canada.
Oh, in Canada.
In Canada, yep. And, oh my God.
About the birth family, finding the birth family.
Yes. So when we were in Spain, let me backtrack and give it some context first. Yeah. So when we actually moved to our current house, the one that we bought through the agency, I went through what I found out is adoption trauma. I didn't know what that was. I'd never heard of it before. I was depressed for 6 months. I cried every single day. It was the most traumatic experience of my life. And somebody hearing that, you'd say, you moved houses, get it together. Like, that is not a thing.
No. But, wait. When you were moving, it like triggered something.
It triggered.
And when did you? So do you always knew growing up that you were adopted?
Always,
because you didn't look like the family that adopted you.
Correct.
And what was the story they told you?
Oh, I mean, I have known for as long as I can remember.
Like, you're the luckiest one everyone wants. My mom would always say, adopted kids are the luckiest kids in the world because everybody wants them. Yes. So I always thought that's beautiful, and that's the way they should be told.
Yes.
So when did you ever? So then, at a certain point, did you try to find your parents?
No, I didn't. And my older sister, who is half Filipino. She was also adopted. She's 3 years older than me. And I think it was because she didn't really care to find her birth family, and
you just sort of followed suit.
I kind of followed, like my older sister. I look up to her. I'm like, oh, she doesn't mind. I'm fine too. You know. And our family we had this massive family. I have like 30 something cousins, beautiful, loving, amazing Indonesian family. Like I was so loved growing up, and my mom always said, like, we chose you. Like we wanted you so much that we chose you. So I grew up with so much love. So now, this situation, I want to move to this new house. I'm excited about moving to this new house. I'm an active participant in this new house. But as soon as it happens, it triggers this depression in me because I feel like I have been ripped from my stability. And the separation and this feeling of abandonment was overwhelming. So then I learned what adoption trauma was. So so much therapy. It was really, really devastating. So anyway, so now
at the Paella dinner,
I'm talking to Erica and Dorit, and Erica was talking about working in an orphanage and holding babies, because they need that physical touch. And then we got into me being adopted, and I told them this story. So I have a friend who lives in a gated community here in Los Angeles, and the gentleman that works security at the gate, he's from the Congo. And so I'm chatting with him. This is sometime early last year. And he's like, sister, where are you from? And I said, oh, I'm half Nigerian. And he's like, have you been? And I said, no, I don't know my biological parents. I've never been there before. And he said, you don't know them? And he said, is your dad Nigerian? And I said, yes. And he's like, you need to find him. He said, Nigerian men don't leave their babies. He doesn't know you exist. So I told this to Erica and Dorit and just lost it.
Yeah.
Lost it because it's that adoption trauma that is now manifesting in my life as a 41-year-old mother with 4 children.
Yeah.
So these are the things that I struggle with.
So interesting. And were they welcoming of that story?
Oh, absolutely. They were so supportive. They were so supportive. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Now, the other thing that you got that people were like, what is your honesty about how you said that your husband said you're an 8.5 at everything. You're an 8.5 in looks. You're an 8.5 in sports. You're an 8.5 in intelligence, decorating. Yeah. And people were like, as they're sitting at home by themselves, if my man said that to me. And I'm always like, that's the thing. I'm like, we're stepping into someone else's home in their marriage, and every marriage has their own dynamic. Yeah. And the thing that women say more than anything is, well, I wouldn't put up with that.
I know.
Well, no one's asking you to put up with it. And you guys have your understanding, and you thought it was funny.
Yeah.
And you thought it was like, I mean, look, I know I'm not a 10 supermodel in looks. And my husband's never been like, you're the best looking person that's ever walked on the earth. He's never said it. Yeah. So does that mean I shouldn't? So do you want someone who's lying? I thought there was nothing wrong with it.
So many parts
and I was like, I would. And the way we talk about our husbands, never, like we demand that every guy is like, you're the greatest thing. But I mean, even as a female comic, female comics can speak about their husbands so much harsher. And the women and the men laugh, but if a guy gets up there and says the things that we'd say, it's like, he's awful, da-da-da-da. Yeah. So anyway, I thought that was interesting, but knowing the audience so well, I was like, oh God, please.
See, and I would have no idea. Because I'm coming into this, Heather, open book. I'm like so bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, open book. I have nothing to hide. I'm like, this is my life. Welcome, And like, I guess, what people didn't see and don't understand is like, my husband is my person. Like, we are best friends. Like, we can joke about everything and anything. And so 2 parts to that. Number 1, I was an athlete, right? And so my coach is never going to be like, Annemarie, you're perfect. It's just not going to happen. I don't expect perfection in my life. I'm always striving for better. That's just the way I operate. That's one of the things I love about my husband. He pushes me to be better. I push him to be better. That's how we work, right?
As athletes, too.
As athletes, absolutely. So I would never expect to be a 10. And then he was like, you totally butchered that and whatever. He's like, I didn't say.
He probably didn't love the response either.
I mean, he doesn't care.
Okay,
he's like,
good,
whatever.
Good.
He doesn't internalize
you don't want
things.
Them to care.
He doesn't internalize things. He's been doing this for too long. But he was like, you butchered it. He said, I didn't say you were an 8.5 at everything. He said average. You're an 8.5 average. And so he's like, yes, looks and
so
body
you
and
have a
brains.
10.
He's like all the things
Okay,
that
so
women
you're
hear.
10
You're
in
a
the
10 at the
sack.
thing. I'm a 10 in the sack. I'm a 10 in looks, 10 in brains,
Where
10
are you
in
in cooking?
athletics. Oh, 2. So there you go.
So there-
I'm a
okay,
2 at
yeah.
cooking. I have like I'm so type A and like
Yeah.
super OCD. Those are my 2s because he hates when I stress.
Okay.
So he's like, those are your 2s that like even everything out.
Got it.
So and whatever. I got it wrong, but also I don't need to be a 10. Like I'm not a 10. And this is another thing too. You know what you'll never hear at the Wiley household? Honey, does this look bad on me? Do I look fat? Does this look good? Because if it looks bad, he will have already told me. And I never have to think, is he lying?
Right.
Because I know he's gonna tell me the truth. Right?
Right.
How many times do people like leave the house and like, oh, I feel so self-conscious. Honey, you're just lying. You're just saying that. I'm never going to wonder if my husband's just
I
saying
have
that.
the thing where they don't, and I have 2 boys that are 18 and 21 now. They never say anything about my outfit unless it isn't okay.
Oh no. I'm like, tell me.
And then they will say it. I'm saying they're not. I don't walk down and everyone they're like, whoa, mom. Because they're just like used to me get glammed up myself, whatever.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'll be like I remember one time I wore this hat and this like coat because you know how everyone's wearing like long coats now, you know?
Yes.
And my son's like, why are you dressed like a detective? And I was like, oh my God. So those are the only times when it like seems goofy that anyway, so let's get into, this is you at the reunion. I love this blue.
Thank
Did you have a hard time choosing your outfit?
Oh, for
your
heaven's
blouse?
sakes. Yes.
I mean, your dress?
Yeah, it is a process. It is a process.
Do they tell you that you have to choose this color?
No, it wasn't a color. It was a theme. So we were given a theme. And then, but I guess they're going for some kind of like cohesion with everything, right? So it's a lot of like back and forth during this process. But for me, I was like, you know what? I want to wear a bright, fun color. I want to wear something that's comfortable because sorry, comfort first. I'm that person. I always will be.
I always think, okay, first of all, this is why your dress is really a good choice. The color.
Thank you.
I always think a long dress, but with a slit.
Yeah.
So you show the leg, but you're not having a short dress where you might get a squirt of like cellulite or something happening.
Or just fidgeting the
It's
whole
like
time. It's a long day.
You also have it nipped in the waist, so even the tiniest waist can be
cinched in.
challenging on a couch.
Yep.
If it's like a super plain silk or something, not good.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I thought it was a great choice.
Thank you.
Now, where you can't tell us what happens on the reunion.
Yep.
But with Sutton,
Yeah.
I mean, do you think you can move past and be okay?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Okay, good.
I mean,
because I think she's a character and fun. I think
Yeah.
she's perfect for the show.
Yeah.
I don't need to see any more fake dates.
Yeah.
My personal opinion.
Oh, my.
I don't need to see the casting people whip out these guys that were trying to be actors from their last gig was on $1 Million Matchmaker in 2011. I don't need to see that. Let it be.
God.
Just let her be her like quirky self.
You know, my husband was on that show.
$1 Million Matchmaker.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Wait, I have
With
to.
Patty way
you know
back in
that
the day.
they're re-airing now on
Oh,
Netflix.
you're kidding. Oh, no, I didn't know. Like the old episode?
Yes.
Oh, my gosh, I'm dead. That is
We have
so
to look
funny.
it up.
Oh, my God, that is so funny.
We have to look
This was
it up.
obviously before me, way before me.
Yes.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Because I was so entertained by that show.
Yeah.
And now she's coming back with a new one.
Oh, my God.
Crystal, we already talked about, but I like her dress. Erica. Now,
Love that dress.
did you, obviously coming in, you must have known about Erica's LA Times article.
Yeah.
Which Sutton was the only one that read it, but I'm confident that you'd probably be able to read the whole thing yourself as well.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Being that you've read a lot of medical books, I'm thinking you could get through the LA article.
I'm an avid
How
reader,
did you
yes.
feel going in? I feel like she really had a great season. I think she redeemed herself. I think people have changed their minds about what is really expected of her as a wife of someone who deceived a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And I thought she came off so likable and really wonderful when she talked to Kyle in the last episode, when she came over and was like, this is your marriage. And all the advice she gave was absolutely just
On point.
so like you can tell they have a real friendship, but she was that friend that's been through it. And I
Yeah.
thought that was really great on her part.
Yeah. So I, didn't know the old Erica.
Yeah.
I've only known this Erica.
Yes.
And she has been amazing to me. She's been so supportive. And one thing that I think really makes the two of us get along is that she's very no nonsense. Like she's just honest and real, and she'll tell you how it is. Similar to my husband, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
how he's going to tell me how it is. I gravitate towards people like that because those are the people that you know you can trust. Don't
Yes.
just tell me what you think I want to hear. Tell me the real. And she does that. And
Yeah.
I really appreciate that for her. Yeah, I love her. She's so supportive. She's been great.
Yes. So that's great. But you haven't seen the show yet. You didn't go to the Las Vegas residency.
So when I wanted to, but I was in Canada a lot with my mom.
Oh, okay.
Because like I said, after she got diagnosed, it was only 3 months until she passed. So I was in Canada.
Oh, okay. And, well, I mean, hopefully with the show coming out, I think it's March 6th or 9th. She has a 2-episode spinoff. I love stuff like that. And, you know, hopefully she'll be able to do more.
I know.
Good for her. How did you get along with Garcelle? I felt like you guys really didn't have much one-on-one time. At least we didn't see it.
Yeah, we actually filmed a really fun afternoon. She came over to my house and we had this amazing talk, this awesome heart-to-heart. We bonded over so many things. We have a lot in common, like in terms of our past and like our entry into American life and Los Angeles life in particular. So we really bonded over a lot of things. And, you know, with being the 2 Black women on the cast, there are certain things that, you know, only we're going to kind of understand and we need to lean on each other for those things and in those kinds of instances. So, no, Garcelle and I got along great.
Yeah. Good. I've known her for years and she's really nice. Dorit. A lot of people were freaked out by this outfit. They were like, is this the Real Housewives of Dubai? What's happening?
Oh my gosh.
I like that I think her style and all that shit is fun.
Yeah.
Did you was this the first time you saw it when you guys filmed it?
Yes, this was the first time I saw it.
And
you know
did it
what?
like hang on a bun? How did it stay?
It was like clipped in.
Oh, okay.
It was like clipped in over
She has
here
like
in the top.
for people not watching this, she has like a really nice, beautiful red dress that then has like a hood situation happening.
Yeah. You know what, though? This is Dorit, right?
Yeah.
Like, she's always going to push those fashion boundaries and bring something new and fresh and give you that wow. And she did it, right? We're talking about it.
So in the last episode, she, you know, is talking to PK.
Yeah.
He's extended his trip to London 39 days. And she's being very honest of like, I don't know that we're going to be together forever. And so a lot of people are talking about that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, that's what the show is people like watching these marriages because the majority of audience members are married women, divorced women, whatever. And we've been through it, our friends, and we like to give our opinion. And so my opinion is it's not great. It's not great. And I think when they did the Pretty Woman thing, and he said, in which he set up the whole evening of Pretty Woman, which, by the way, I went as Pretty Woman in the red dress with the white gloves to Adrienne Malouf's Halloween party. And she was there and we talked. And then after that, they did the Pretty Woman thing.
That is so funny.
You don't think she maybe got the idea from me?
I mean, well, we filmed this much before that. We filmed it much
Halloween
before that.
of last year.
Oh, I mean,
it's a great idea. It's so flattering.
PK's idea, not her idea,
okay,
right?
Fine. But I think, you know, granted, it's, you know, filming for the show and all that stuff. But I think he was kind of like, I think what happens sometimes, and I've talked about this with marriages, there's a significant age difference. I don't know if it's 20 years. It's like at least 15, 16.
Wait, between those two?
Yeah.
Really?
He's like 58 and she's like 40.
I didn't realize that.
What do you mean?
Really? No, I didn't realize that they had an
She's the
age gap
second
like that.
wife.
Yes, correct.
So, and I think sometimes when you have an age difference and the initial part of the marriage is you're this young girl who's so excited and so grateful and so impressed by everything that this older, wealthier man brings to your world.
Yep.
And then as time goes on, any marriage gets a little stale. But as time goes on, I feel then, okay, she's no longer so impressed with all the shiny items because she's used to them. And she's not, you know what I mean? And then now the kids she's into the kids as she should be.
Right.
And so now he's not getting the attention that he got from his 30-year-old girlfriend 10 years ago.
Wow.
And now he's got a 40-year-old wife that has school-age kids that she wants to homeschool.
Right.
And so then he's doing his businesses and more days go by.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying this marriage can't be saved, but that, as the marriage therapist, is what I would say is the real issue. It's like they have to get back to that place where he felt she was excited for him and she has to feel like he thought, you know what I mean? And it just changes with kids. It's like it has to.
Oh, it absolutely changes with kids. It absolutely does. You know what? I always root for love.
Yeah.
So I'm holding out hope and I'm rooting for them. And I feel like all marriages kind of go through a rough patch at some time or another, though, if you're together for long enough.
What's sad, too, about Kyle and Mauricio, too, is both couples have that fun friendship.
Yes.
And I always feel like it's when you don't have the fun friendship, when you really don't enjoy each other, when it's 24-hour bickering,
yes,
that's when it has a trouble. Like, if you're at least friends, but the romance is off or the da-da-da-da, you can come back to that.
When your husband can joke and call you an 8.5.
Yeah, yeah.
So now we like the 8.5. See? You want a funny husband? See?
But I think that they can. But I think, she's being, and then also when you're also sometimes with breakups, especially like in the years past, sometimes when people would feel they were getting divorced, that people would shun them, would not want to be around them, almost like it's like a disease that could get through the cul-de-sac.
Really?
Like in the 80s and stuff. It was when people were getting divorced, sometimes society, neighbors,
you were
and stuff,
excommunicated.
Yeah, like a little bit like, or we don't want the single girl that's at our parties. We're like a little, and so I think the breakup of Kyle and Mauricio might have added to. Now we are going to see this whole friendship breakup between she and Kyle.
Yeah.
And I think there's going to be a lot that even after the reunion, we're not going to really know. Because I think there's so much unknown of and then people are like, I feel gypped. I'm like, shut up. The girl's been on the show for 14 years. However much Kyle wanted to share or when she wanted to share it or what they wanted to present is their deal.
Well, I mean, I hope people don't feel gypped because I can honestly say I didn't know a lot of that was happening with their relationship either. It was news to me as well. So it just kind of goes to show you that, things evolve fast.
Now I'm going to jump to this other thing because this is crazy. So this is a podcast called, what is it called? Bravo's Hot Mic. Mm-hmm. And he is this Alex Baskin's podcast?
Yes, correct.
So he's, a huge producer of the shows. So he has Dorit and PK on there. And he's like, I know you're very upset that there were times that people had speculated, fans, was this a real robbery?
Mm-hmm.
Because she has a PTSD and the gun was put to her head and everything.
Yeah.
And then he goes on to say something that has really gotten people chatting, where he's like, well, we were robbed 3 times. And of the 3 times, Vegas, in the house, I think there was another time. And then there was the time where she went to TJ Maxx.
Where she had all that cash in her purse.
Shopping, yeah.
Right.
And then he goes on to say, and they caught the guys in Vegas, and they also caught the guys from the TJ Maxx or whatever.
Yeah.
And Dorit's like, they did? He's like, yeah. And she's like, you didn't tell me that. And that is weird. It's weird. It could be many things. It could be that he really is just not making her a priority. He just he'd taken the call for the cop and didn't really care to tell her and wasn't down to communicating with her a lot and forgot.
Right.
Or it could be that he purposely didn't tell her, but I don't know why he would say that on the podcast. I don't know why you would
purposely not tell her.
I really think that he is just... I really think that Dorit is just not on his mind that much. And so I think when information comes and stuff, he probably meant to tell her, but then he was in London and then this and this and this. And now we're sitting down and it comes up and he's being honest and he's like, oh, these people got arrested. And she's just kind of like, what?
That would be very jarring to hear.
Yeah.
On a podcast, not in real time.
And then I feel like with her situation with the robbery, where she's like, I have PTSD and everything, he basically is like, I feel like he's basically saying to the therapist, I call bullshit. I think she's exaggerating it and everything. And I feel like, regardless of if she's exaggerating or not, if she is exaggerating it, it's because she wants his attention.
Right.
So even if she is not suffering as much as she is, and no one knows the level of suffering. I can't even imagine what she went through.
Agreed.
And if there was, and then people speculate, is there something more behind it? whatever is more behind it, I believe she did not know anything when she woke up that night. I 100% believe that. So her trauma is her trauma.
Absolutely.
But to then have your husband kind of be like, move on.
I think one thing we have to like also keep in mind is that it's not going to be, PTSD is not going to be linear. And it's not going to be the same for everyone, right? People are going to experience it.
It can rise up and it can go down.
Exactly. And people are going to experience it different ways in general. And what one person might be able to, quote unquote, recover from in 1 year's time, it might take someone else who knows how long, right? So I think that's something that is a very individual experience for her. And it's almost like you have to believe her and just support her with that, right?
I totally agree. Okay, so Kyle looked great in her green dress. And then Kathy shows up and we see the trailer, so don't tell us, but Sutton sort of gets dizzy, and we don't know if she's getting dizzy from the sight of Kathy Hilton or if maybe she just had a dizzy moment. Like people faint and get dizzy. I fainted on stage once, never happened since. I don't know why I did. It happens. I don't know.
I mean, we're going to have to wait and find out.
We're going to have to wait and find out. However, I was in Aspen this weekend. And do you know what happened off camera at the Caribou Club with Kathy Hilton and Lisa Rinna?
Oh, no.
It's pretty much why Lisa Rinna is no longer on the show. They went to this private club called the Caribou Club.
Okay.
So, of course, I wanted to go, and I had friends that were members. So it's like a beautiful dining place, and then there's like a DJ. And it's a mix of aged people. It's pretty fun, you know? Well, the story is that Kathy Hilton went up to the DJ and asked Michael Jackson to be played, and he didn't play it. And she got furious. She felt disregarded or whatever, and got mad at Kyle and said, "Let's leave, Kyle." And Kyle was like, "No." So then Lisa Rinna took her in the Sprinter van without cameras, without any recording, and recording Lisa Rinna. She was in a bad mood, and she went off on Kyle and off on the DJ and used a derogatory term.
Oh, wow.
So, but we never saw it, and it just got brought up throughout the show.
Okay.
What went down at the Caribou Club? And my understanding is that he didn't play Michael Jackson. Well, let me tell you, when I went to the Caribou Club Saturday night, they played 2 Michael Jackson songs. And I was like, oh my God, and I took my phone and I'm like, if only this DJ had played these songs.
At that
Kathy
time.
Hilton would have been happy. Lisa Rinna wouldn't have had any dirt on her. Lisa Rinna could have maybe stayed on the show. Kyle may have never met Morgan Wade.
Oh my God!
If only Michael Jackson had been played.
Isn't that crazy? Like one event, cascades. That is crazy.
Okay, the white party.
Yeah, it was so beautiful. It was so much fun.
How did the idea ever come to did we know somebody at SoFi Stadium? Were they like SoFi Stadium was like, hey, we want to host your party? Like, who thinks to just go to a big, because now I'm thinking, wait a minute. This is kind of a great idea for other people. Why not go to your local high school football field? Why not put something there when they're not playing a football? Like now you have this big space that just wasn't being used. If everything's being brought in, which is very expensive to do.
Very expensive.
But I don't know. You could have like a wedding anywhere now. Like you just.
But, I mean, you can go to SoFi and get married if you want to pay for that. But you have to think about the security and all the vendors and those kinds of things because you are looking at a blank football field that you are constructing a party on. It is a very, very big venture. And like we have Chargers season tickets. We go to every game at SoFi, and like trust me, I've never seen it look like that. This was a very big production.
And why do you think she wanted to have such a big production?
I think because she hadn't had the party in a couple of years, right? Because of COVID and everything.
And also because to have Erica perform too.
Absolutely. Like this was the big resurgence of the white party. So I get why she wanted
funny,
a big
it might
venue.
Be the sad the last white party. Well, where she and he are hosting it together. Maybe not.
Hopefully not.
Okay, so then in this scene, it wasn't this scene, but anyway, there's Crystal and her husband. And the news breaks at the end of the final episode that, in fact, they're separated. Who leaked the People story? Because right after that, they said, we're not separated.
Right.
We're living under the same roof, but we're not separated. We don't know who leaked this story, which is weird. And he says, Crystal's husband goes, I think maybe Morgan leaked it. And so the entire year that this has been going on, has it been a year? How long has it been? I think it started like in June. June is when people started to I forgot the blogger, but someone put a highlight reel together someone put it in the stories.
Okay.
Because they started to notice the stuff she was posting, working out and all this stuff with Morgan on her lap. And someone put a highlight reel together of, I think, Kyle's dating Morgan. That, I apologize that I can't remember this girl's Instagram. But
I feel like I just saw it this morning too.
So then she has like 97,000 people. She's a decent one. She does good work. She then shares that back in June, when she put this together before the People article, but people were speculating. I remember seeing the stuff about who is this girl that she's working out with? Is she a friend who's just a different style? Is she a friend who's just gay, who's a friend? Are they more? So then she goes, Kyle and Morgan both watched my reel back in June.
I saw that.
Watched the highlight reel.
Yeah.
So now I've gone back and forth. She's dressing like Morgan. They're getting the tattoos. The paparazzi just always happens to be there when they're going on a walk. Then I realized, she's producing a documentary about Morgan's
music career.
Also getting the gene taken out by getting a mastectomy.
That's right.
And making people aware of that, which is important. So I was like, there's that. Then I also came across someone else's hard work where they discovered that at one point she either had a boyfriend or a husband, Morgan, who is now a realtor at the agency.
Oh, I didn't know that part.
Yeah.
Really?
It has been for a while.
Wow.
Now, the agency is everywhere. And I don't know if it's the Beverly Hills agency. It could be the Encino agency. It could be the agency in Tennessee. I don't know. Yeah. They're everywhere. And clearly Mauricio doesn't know every single agent. He probably doesn't even know every manager of every office. There's so many.
For sure.
So who knows? But in this one, after she went on Real Housewives, I noticed that we always talk about Kyle wearing Morgan's clothes. Well, Morgan got an outfit from Kyle.
Right.
She's wearing an Hermès belt, a nice silk blouse, a blazer, a Veronica Beard blazer, it appears to be.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so now wait, and in it, she is rubbing her hip in a very loving, in my opinion, non-straight platonic girlfriend kind of a way. So
I will say this. I'm happy with whatever makes Kyle happy.
Of course.
Right? If this is true, then as long as she's happy, great. Kyle has been through so much. She's shared so much of her life, her family's life. And I understand that people, really feel entitled to know every single intricate detail of everything. But if that's not what she's ready to do, then, there has to be, maybe it has to be on her terms and her time. I don't know. Like I said, I will always root for love.
Yes.
That is a marriage of 27, 28 years. They have 4 beautiful children. And it hurts my heart to see a family break up. But if that is what's going to make Kyle happy and Mo happy, then I'm happy for them.
Well, I love that she says we're not that couple that's screaming, yelling, fighting.
Yeah.
But also sometimes that's what a therapist says. Once you become indifferent, then also the marriage can't be saved either. You know what I mean? Like sometimes, at least if you're fighting, you care enough to fight.
You're fighting for.
You care enough to be annoyed.
Yeah.
But I feel like I don't care. I don't know how much was manipulated, planned out, not planned out. I have loved every second of it. I have loved wondering. I think the best thing about her, Kris Jenner, anybody else, is she made the lemonade out of it.
There you go.
The Buying Beverly Hills season 2 is coming out.
Yeah.
It wasn't really a huge buzzworthy hit first season. And the trailer looks really good.
There you go.
And the sisters are against each other. We're seeing that they're talking about the separation. The market, is a little more volatile, which make it a little more fun than, easy deals.
Yep.
And so I think they're like, look, this is the deal. People know about it. We're going to share about it. But when I was in Aspen, I did run into Mauricio.
You did.
And it was after dinner. I was with my 18-year-old son and my husband. And I go, Mauricio. And he was with a girl who was attractive.
Okay.
Who then just walked ahead. Like, she didn't stop to meet me. I looked to see, because first I thought, is it one of the brunette daughters? It was not.
She didn't acknowledge you at all?
No. Now, it could have just been a friend. It could have been someone's sister. Who the fuck knows? I kind of felt like she knows the deal, and I'm not meeting every fucking 50-year-old woman who was like, oh, Mauricio. So like, I get why she was like, we're fucking moving on. But anyway, I talked to him. He's always so nice. I'm like, I'm excited for season 2. I love it because I grew up in real estate with my parents. So I'm I love that your daughters are working with you, blah, blah, blah. Then I saw him twice more skiing, but I felt I was so obnoxious the night before that I averted eye contact and did not talk to him again. But he was by himself skiing the 2 other times.
Okay.
So I don't have any real
Maybe he was
scoop.
just out with an acquaintance for dinner. He just didn't want to have a lonely dinner.
And she was like, I don't want to deal with this.
Maybe, yeah.
If she was a realtor, she should have stopped. She should have tried to sell me a condo or something. But anyway, I think, that must have been kind of also weird that you stepped into this where like one of the biggest couples in housewife history is like, and then you found out about it mostly towards the end of the season. Like when you were at the white party, did you think anything was weird then?
No, I actually didn't know for the longest time. I didn't know anything was wrong. I literally just thought that Mo was in Europe because he was on his book tour.
Oh, okay.
Right? So he was on his book tour. He was working. I didn't think anything of it. I had no idea. And I knew of Morgan because Kyle introduced us on FaceTime during that dinner that Dorit and I were at her house for. I didn't think anything of anything. I didn't. I was like, great, this is her new friend.
I think it's also a really good, I think you can learn a lot by watching other people's lives on Housewives.
Yeah.
And I think this could be a lesson to people. Because when you do get greater wealth and you have multiple homes, it is really easy to start living in separate homes.
Oh, 100%.
And you're like, oh, hey, da-da-da. And, and then, of course, with him, he always has a reason to travel. If he ever isn't happy with the situation at home, he can always say, oh, I got to go to Puerto Rico because the office is this and this and this and that. And how is she ever going to know?
That's right.
And I think she accepted everything. But then I think she also found her own interests.
Yeah.
And that could be Morgan Wade's career. It could be getting tattoos. It could be both.
Doing extra production
projects. Oh, I also want to say I 100% believe that she never went on Ozempic. I want to say I believe that because not drinking, which I have dabbled in it, sober curiosity, okay?
Yeah.
I lost like 6 pounds without trying.
Drinking, people don't realize how many calories are in alcohol.
I got on the scale after like being really good for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I was like, this scale can't be right.
Drinking is a lot of calories.
And I talked to some friends and I'm like, I definitely think that she just slimmed down from the not drinking.
Yeah.
And so that would be annoying.
And I mean, that in combination with, now you're working out for the first time in your life, like those are really big lifestyle changes.
No,
and that was another thing that was very jarring to me when I first came into the group of ladies. I was like, why is everyone like fit shaming and sober shaming her? Like she's going through a lot. And like with her, her friend who's passing away. And I'm like, she's doing healthy things to like, to deal with the things that are happening in her life. I'm like, we should be applauding her. Why are we making fun of that? Or why are we, hating on her for that?
I feel like, even when I'm drinking and someone's like, I'm not drinking, I'm always like, good for you.
Yeah.
Like, good for you. Go for it.
Yeah.
I think when people don't like it or try to find another reason for it, it's because they probably are thinking themselves, I should probably cut back.
And they don't, Oh, 100%.
So they want their like buddy, or they're thinking I should go to the gym more or whatever. And so they're just trying like, what's going on? I don't think she's even had a midlife crisis. I think she's had an awakening about what she wants in her life, whatever that might be. And if that means redefining her relationship with Mo and they're able to get back together.
Yeah.
Like I could see them getting back together, like especially when children come into play or whatever. Who knows?
Yeah, that's a
I
good
don't
call.
think they want to sell their properties. I don't think they want to split up their business that now the daughters are part of. So I think they're just like, the only way we can do this without it getting messy and disgustingly ugly is tell the world that we are in fact going to date other people.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's logical. If that is what it is, it is very logical.
And
right?
so many people do it and keep it a secret. And so many people have done it for hundreds of years throughout history in all different cultures.
Yeah.
And you didn't know that was going on in your neighbor's house.
And I mean, you also have to remember, like, it wouldn't, if they are doing that or going that route, it wouldn't be simple. Like, these are high net worth people. It's very complicated.
Well, I am really glad that I got to know more about you.
Me too.
I feel badly that I hope you come back.
Yeah, I mean,
and I hope that we get to see a more fun side of you with no esophagus
oh my gosh.
ever. And kind of get to see a little more play with your husband. We didn't really get to see the husbands hang out.
No.
And I do, hopefully, whatever happens, and who knows what's going to happen with these other, but I like when the husbands would get together, and I think we saw your husband very little, but
yes.
I get how they have to edit the show.
Yeah.
So if you decide to come back and everything, what are you like, how are you hoping to balance this new public life? Are you still going to work?
Oh, absolutely.
As a professional?
Yeah. Oh, it's very important to me to always maintain my independence. And I'm like, I went to school for a very long time to, achieve those degrees and those licenses. So I'll always work. I always will. It's, and I want to be a role model for my children and for other young kids and young girls to be like, even when you have all these things in your life, it's still important to maintain your identity and something that you worked for. And, I just want people to see like the fun side of me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I love people. I love having a good time. Like I'm doing this to have a good time. Like I'm doing this because this is supposed to be fun. So I want people to see like that light and silly part of me. I love having parties. I love hanging out with people. I love working out. I love drinking, and my family is hysterical. Like I want people to actually, you only saw one scene of me at home with my family. Like I want people to see my lifestyle and the dynamic and all the things that we do.
And with all the social media and people, like where were you seeing most of the comments and stuff? They would DM you, or like where would you see the kind of mean stuff that people would write?
Oh, they would just put it all over my page. They would send it to me. They would tag me. They would whatever. And so now my social media team does it because I'm, I just don't even have time for that anymore. And it's
so early on you were like, I have to stop myself from looking at this stuff.
Yes, and I was always told that.
I think that is so important.
I was always told that, but this is the part where it gets hard for me because I pride myself on being such a good person intentionally.
Yes.
Like I'm literally the person, like my friends are like, you're the person that makes everyone feel seen. And I do that intentionally because I like to make people feel good, right? So for people to not see who I really am as a person and only see one side and all you see me doing is talking about sense esophagus, that's why it's like, where am I? Like, where am I? And so I want people to actually see me, and I'm totally fine. If people see me and they get a depiction of who I am and they're like, nope, I'm good. She's still not for me. That's fine.
Was there a time in the beginning when you were getting the hate and all that stuff that it was like really affecting you and you had to be like, you know what? I have got to put the blinders on now, because I can imagine it when it all comes that quickly and in that volume, like for me, it's like slowly grown.
Yeah.
And even for me, I've gotten to a place where I finally was like, don't send me stuff and I don't want to look at this anymore, know? But for so long, I was like, and I always felt like, well, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Like I'd see something, no, you're wrong. That's not true. That's not what I meant.
Yeah.
And then at a certain point, you just have to be like.
I think that's where I kind of am now. Because it's like, people are going to love you and then hate you and then love you again, or vice versa, right? Like you're never going to be able to please everyone. But I'm fine if it's like, oh my gosh, look at her dress, or like, oh, look what she's doing, or something like that, something silly like that. I don't mind. It's when it becomes something that's very serious, like something that is like has racial undertones, or something that has, that is speaking about my profession, which, as we all know, is something that I take very seriously. When it becomes like serious things, that's when it actually bothers me.
Yeah.
Because that's, if someone's attacking you for being a comedian, you're like, well, but this is my job, right?
Right.
Like it's kind of something that can be taken a little bit more seriously, I think.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, it is a learning curve, right? Like there's no handbook on how to be a housewife and all the things that are going to come at you. Like this is a whole different level of everything. You know? And again, going from someone who was very private before to now like being in, this public position in the spotlight,
but you, like you said, you have a great platform, and so you want to do more with this.
Absolutely.
Like take this opportunity and do whatever. Do you know what else you'd want to do besides appear on the show?
I have lots of ideas.
Oh, good.
Yeah, lots of things in the works. So.
Well, good. Well, tell everybody where they can follow you and everything.
Annemarie Wiley is my Instagram handle. Same for Facebook, Threads, X, all under Annemarie Wiley. And also, I want to take a second to plug our foundation.
Oh, yes.
My husband and I have a foundation called Project Transition, where we work with communities and individuals in order for people to, find their inner power, not let their circumstances become their excuse for being the greatest version of themselves. So we partner with a lot of at-risk communities, and we do great work in the community. So.
Oh, I love that.
Yep.
That's so important.
ProjectTransition.org.
All right. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.